What's going on, man?
What's up, fellas?
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you on the show, man.
Man, I'm glad to be here. I've been keeping up with you guys for a little bit, and so I'm excited to be here. Yes, sir.
That's what's up, man. So listen, man, what's going on with Lecrae? I heard him on what was it? What's the name of that gentleman? Van Lathan, right? He was on the radio, and he had said something about Charlie Kirk, and basically was saying that you know, that his comments reminded him of white supremacy, and he doesn't understand how people, you know, who say those kind of things, how they feel like, you know, the undertone of white supremacy. What did you guys feel about that whole?
Does someone have the actual quote, the exact quote? Because I didn't see the clip, but does someone have the quote handy so we could actually know what?
Yeah, we could.
What Lecrae said?
Y'all want to go on the
What up, Jimmy? Hey,
oh, there we go.
Yeah.
I never got into a real rap beef before, so I always wanted somebody to be like, yo, tell me about so and I could be like, who that? Never heard of. Nah, but
no, I like that. I like that.
But I'll just say this, you know, I don't think people see the amount of racist rhetoric that comes out their mouth when they try to cancel, you know what I'm saying? Like, you represent one of the largest majority white institutions and organizations out there, and you're saying, don't invite this black man into another church again. Like, that's so, all the white supremacy wrapped up in that is crazy that they don't even see it. Like, that's wild to me. But then even on a spiritual level, it's like, bro, who are you? You can't cancel God's plans. If God want to use me, he gonna use me. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, you can't stop the hand of God. Like, if God don't want to use me, then cool. But if he do, he do. And then I guess more than anything, for me, I don't believe either. First of all, it's sad that you so connect the church to a political party that a person who votes opposite of you, or you perceive that they voted opposite of you, is now some sort of heretic or some sort of like the Antichrist. That's crazy to me. 86% of black people vote progressive. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry, 96% of black people vote progressive. 86% of white people vote conservative. That's just America. You know what I mean? So what it tells me is you haven't done the research to understand why black people vote in the way they do. And you've taken this higher moral ground as it pertains to pro-life, as if, you know, babies in the womb are more important than Tamir Rice outside the womb. You know what I mean? Like, you got the higher moral ground. How about we care about it all, and we're making decisions in the midst of everything going on that we feel like best suit our situation in our circumstances.
What y'all think?
Oh man, I was rocking with him when it came to the well, actually I wasn't rocking with him when he was saying that the undertone of white supremacy. I mean, I think that's a little forward to him or assumptive to make that assumption of the gentleman that has said that, because it's like, who are you to say that he's racist? You know what I mean? Over those comments, like, you pulled the race card because you know, and I didn't agree with Charlie Kirk when he had mentioned that we should ban Lecrae from churches, from churches, coming to churches and performing and stuff like that. But I just feel like this wasn't the response that we needed from him. You know what I mean? And then also when he came and he said, when he talked about being outside the womb, right? I understand that, but at the same time, abortion, right, is something that these babies don't have an option, right? It's the person who's carrying the baby that has the option to kill them and murder them. You know what I mean? It's not like the baby has the option to, you know, because they started getting into premarital sex and things like that. It's like, well, these babies don't have an option. It is murder at the end of the day, no matter how we view it. So that's,
I mean, but so is Tamir Rice. Like, Tamir Rice didn't have an option.
Right.
He was out there with a toy gun, and the cop rode up on him and blasted him like it was a drive-by shooting. Like
quick, like in less than 5 seconds.
And the church was quiet on that. The white evangelical church was quiet on that. So,
and even this pastor, James Caddis, however you pronounce that, from Calvary Chapel, he didn't address that at all. You know what I'm saying? He started talking about people who get shot with guns by police, people who don't, those statistics.
That was a gentleman that was speaking on the whole situation with Lecrae as well, right?
Yeah. He went on a rant and he was defending Charlie Kirk. And he didn't even address the Tamir Rice situation, which Lecrae was, mentioning here. He just went on a rant about, police brutality and how small the number is of people who get shot, but never really addressing that specific issue. He just kind of glossed right over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think these things are more real to people who experience them. Is this thing cutting out on me? So for someone like me, like I've been to like, I don't know, 8 funerals. 2 of them were of unarmed black men, young black men killed by police. So just me and my contacts, 25% of the funerals I've been to have been unarmed black men killed by police. No weapons, you know what I'm saying? And so that becomes more real. Tamir Rice can become more real than to someone maybe that's coming from a different context. Now that's my experience. I could imagine someone that grew up in a predominantly black area and all black friends, family, uncles, grandfathers, right? So yeah, it's not going to be a priority for someone who they're not going to feel it the same way, right? They're not going to understand. However, that shouldn't get in the way of them at least understanding or making attempts to understand. I think that's the frustrating part with all of these. And I'm not even sure why Charlie Kirk has a platform. Like why is he important and why is he in churches? Like I Googled him and it's just, this is all MAGA far right conservative stuff.
Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, like why? So he was an executive and like there's nothing about him that says he's an authority on anything faith related, right? So we're propping up a conservative talking head and putting him into a position of influence spiritually. This is a big mistake of a lot of neo-evangelical churches right now. Is this, whether it's Brandon Tatum, Bryson Gray, whoever, we're putting people who are, we don't know how long he's been walking with Jesus, if he's walking with Jesus, or if it's the nationalistic, I'm Christian because I'm American faith, right? So again, I don't know anything about Charlie Kirk. So he's being brought up on the platform at this church, and then given the right to speak about someone who, I disagree with Lecrae on a number of things, but Lecrae has a fairly reasonable track record in terms of his theology, right? Consistently being of solid theology for 15 years. He's been around the community, right? In Christian music. So I just think that's really interesting that this dude's getting a platform. I think in terms of the white supremacy comment, I would say it depends how we define white supremacy, right? If white supremacy is exclusively white crosses, crosses being burnt in front of you and, overt racist rhetoric. Well, yeah, obviously what he said wasn't racist or did not have a component of white supremacy, but not everybody defines white supremacy or racism that way. And I think what Lecrae is speaking to is more of like the prejudice plus power structure, right? There's a prejudice against Lecrae by a lot of people in these power positions, like white churches, right? So I think that's kind of what he's getting at. I wouldn't have said that personally. Like, I'm not saying that. Like, I'm not like, well, that's a white supremacy, because it's just a convoluted, it's confusing because we're working with 2 different definitions, right? So one person is saying racism and white supremacy meaning totally different. So when folks on the right hear white supremacy and racism, they think the Klan. They think, they think that, not understanding that white supremacy does not mean that by usually the people who are using that type of language. And so it's tough because like there was a comment today on my YouTube page and somebody was like, people have to assimilate to American culture and American culture is predominantly white culture. And I'm like, no. There is no white culture. White is not a culture. White is not culture, right? Like, and that's where you get into white supremacy when you start adding culture. Like, what food is white food? What style of music is white music? Right? There is no white culture. Like, so that's where racism comes into play. Is you're taking something that's not even an ethnicity. There's Irish culture. There's Italian culture. There's but Armenian culture. Right. So I think that's where you get into like you have to conform to the white way of life if you want to be a red-blooded American. Like, no, that's nonsense, right? America is a melting pot. What makes America amazing is that there's all kinds of cultures and we can come together, right? But when you start saying assimilate to our culture, it was like, you ain't really got a culture, fam. Like, what is your culture? Like, bad potato salad? Like, what's the culture? Explain to me the culture, right? Like, even country music, like you could say country music, like even country music is co-opted blues, and blues is black music, right? So that's the part where I think it's like we gotta be careful when we say white culture, and that's why we don't have a white network television. It's why we don't have a white history month, because there is no white culture. It's a social structure. Manipulate people, used to hurt people.
Jet Digital on YouTube says, how do you know when and how long someone walks with God if you're not God?
Really?
I have a relationship. I have a relationship with Lecrae. I've known Lecrae since 2008.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's how I know. Like, I know Lecrae. I know his wife. I've been around his family. He's met my wife. He's been in my house. Like, because I know Lecrae. Like, and granted, he's not perfect, and I don't agree with everything he believes. His like on some secondary issues, right? Like, I wouldn't have performed at Warnock's rally personally. I just wouldn't have done that.
Right.
But by and large, like, the brother's been consistent. I disagree with him on the Christian rapper comment. Like, I probably wouldn't have said. I mean, I did say something similar at one point. Yeah. And so, but to say, like, how do we know? Well, because he's consistently shown proper doctrine and proper belief of who Jesus is, what the scriptures are, the authority of the scriptures. And he's been did I mute myself? The host has.
Yeah, you good. No, that was me. That was me. My bad.
He's trying to cut you off, Ruslan.
Yeah, he's trying to cut me off. And he has evidence of doctrine, and he has evidence of being a man of God, like being married to the same woman for 20 something years, being right. So I don't know, like, how do you know? I don't know, because you know people, right?
Yeah. Right. You got relationships.
Are we always going to agree?
No, we don't have to.
Exactly. Right. And there's nothing wrong with us calling each other out on it, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, Ruslan, I don't agree with that. And then, but we could sit here and talk about why we don't agree. And then either we come to a solution or we agree to disagree.
Amen.
Yeah, man.
That's facts. Yeah, that's facts. I think people just been going in on Lecrae ever since he got a bit political, and he's been like this lightning rod, where it makes people uncomfortable for him to talk about these things that concern him within the Black community, whether it's police brutality or even his political views.
You know what it is, Ruslan? You didn't send him one of your hoodies.
I'm sure Lecrae don't need none of my hoodies. Whenever I've given him hoodies, he's always
I'm talking about the politically agnostic.
I probably should have sent him a hoodie and been like, "Hey, man, this is
stay away from the politics."
Past life gone on YouTube says Lecrae heard the phrase "that's not Christian" more than anyone in CHA.
Probably.
To be fair, he was getting roasted before he said anything political. To be fair, there was Illuminati videos about him when when there was no him at a Black Lives Matter rally. Like, so to be totally fair, it's a toxic view of success we have in the Christian community, that at some point you guys are going to become more successful, and then all of a sudden someone will say it's something about your lighting and only half of your eye being revealed, and now you're a part of the pagan occult. It will happen. It will happen because we have this disgusting view, and I use that word intentionally, disgusting view, that to reach a certain degree of success, one must compromise their faith, and it's just utter nonsense. It's usually by people who are sitting in their mother's basement in their underwear typing away, who've never actually done anything, and they think that to get to that level you have to sell your soul. No, you just have to get up and get out and do something with your life more than be a troll on the internet and make weird conspiracy theory videos. So I think, like, That's extremely problematic, and he's been getting that forever, and I'm starting to get that, by the way, like recently, like as of this week, like why do you have a triangle in this part of your frame? Oh my
goodness!
Oh yeah,
right.
I guarantee you, I crack a couple 100,000 subscribers, I guarantee you they're coming for me. They're gonna make the goofy videos about me. I promise you. They're gonna find some slow frame where I was talking with my hands and then I did this. And then they're gonna be
right there. There you go, right there. That's it.
There it is. You just
That's a thumbnail.